Good evening and welcome back to Turner Classic Movies. I'm Dave Karger. It's Thursday night, so I'm back with another episode of the new limited documentary series, The Power of Film. And I'm joined by its executive producers, Laura Gabbert and Doug Prey. Hello to you both.
Hello again.
Hi there.
So tonight's episode, number 3, is called Character Relationships. And it's really fascinating to hear your former professor, Howard Suber from UCLA, who's kind of the tour guide through all of these episodes, talk about characters and different character relationships, whether it's a character triangle or a buddy kind of relationship. But one thing that he says that I found really interesting, essentially, I'm paraphrasing here, he says there's not so much great characters, there's great character relationships. Do you two agree with that? Was that a novel concept to you when he said it?
I think so many of Howard Suber's main principles he talks about, in one way can just seem almost obvious, but there's so much depth to them. Characters work because they need someone to work off of. It has to be a dynamic. There has to be a push and pull. So I think that's true of character relationships, yes. And I think that both Doug and I, even our nonfiction work, think about that, right?
Yeah, because it's like he says, only Shakespeare could have monologues. We don't do that in film. And one of the really great lessons in this episode is how characters shift in power. And don't forget, the entire series is named The Power of Film. And he talks about power and power relations almost as if it's physics. And you have somebody starting here and somebody here with power and without, and how they shift and how that is the dynamic of the film. And that's often what makes a really great screenplay powerful, is seeing somebody change. Because we go to, he's taught us that we go to movies to see people change, but it's really all about that. And so in this episode, he just breaks the, as you said, he talks about buddy films, he talks about triangulation and how two people can make this character do something or get them into a different kind of a trap, or how they get out of the trap. And there's teams, comedy, like the Marx Brothers, and there's a lot of references to different kinds of films and how the relationships work on our central character, that it's not all about them. It's only in the world they're in that it makes sense.
Well, I have to ask you, because I feel like if there's one character that's really going to possibly challenge this theory, which I do believe is true, we're showing The Big Lebowski tonight. And yes, there's great relationships between the dude and his friends, but I would almost argue that the dude, as particularly played by Jeff Bridges, is fascinating in and of himself. But I see what the point is here, that it's also the interplay between this unbelievable character and all of the other forces in the film's universe.
Because stuff happens to him and the dude abides.
And he's trying to produce change. That's the power of film. You're either producing change or you're preventing change. And there is that, he's on a quest in that film.
Exactly.
So he's trying to produce change, but, confronting obstacles along the way with the great dynamics with his, all the other characters.
Because we have this stereotype that heroes are these great leading people, and they like, I've made a decision and I'm going to do that. Look at The Big Lebowski. Look, the dude is not like that. Things happen to him, but deep inside, he does shift. He does have a destiny. He does take control of his destiny. And it's really interesting because Howard's always pointing out, stop. He's breaking stereotypes left and right for us as film watchers. And so you watch the film again and go, oh yeah, even this guy who appears like some kind of a slouch, is actually like, he's a great hero.
He also really exemplifies one thing that comes up in this episode, that a lot of great movie heroes are connectors. They're intermediaries between different aspects of the world. Certainly the dude is that, whether he wants to be or not. He gets thrust into this situation where that's what he becomes, right, Laura?
Yeah, and again, the reason that's so powerful is because we all feel like we're intermediaries. We all feel like we walk between different worlds and balance different relationships and kind of become one person, perhaps at work, and then another person with friends. And there is this feeling where you can just relate to that struggle, the things that are good about it and the things that are challenging about it.
Well, I appreciate your insight, Laura and Doug. I'll see you next week. But right now, let's take a look at the third episode of your series, The Power of Film, Character Relationships.
Next on TCM, The Big Lebowski, then The Power of Film, Episode 3, and later, Paths of Glory. TCM is honor-bound tonight.